Hello and welcome to release 5 of the application. In this video I'm going to be taking you through some of the new features which you will hopefully find useful. Now the first new feature is that all of the documentation is now packaged with the application. So if you go to help and then docs, that'll bring up another window with a list of the available documents. Click on any one of those buttons and it will open a browser window and load that document in as a PDF. The documentation itself has had a major refresh, so it's covering a lot of the new features. So for example, here we go, here's a section on the signal box levers, which is one of the main features in this release. The example layouts are also packaged with the application. So if you go to File and then Examples, that will open in the folder that contains all the examples. So between the examples that are provided by the application and the documentation, you should be able to figure out exactly what you want to do for your layout. So one of the major new features in this release is signal box levers. So if you've got a schematic diagram, this is one of our quick start examples, and you want to have that real signal box experience, you can use levers to create a simulated lever frame and connect those up to the various signals and points on the layout. So if I click that button, I'll add a lever. And let's just add a couple more now. You'll see when they're created, they've got a white coloured handle, which means they're effectively spare, and that's because we haven't connected them to anything yet. Connecting them up is relatively straightforward. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect levers to control point 1. So double click on lever 1 and the first thing you need to do is to choose the type of lever. So this one is going to be a point. Once we've decided that, we just enter the ID of the point, in this case which is 1, and then choose what we want to switch. We can either switch the point, the facing point lock, or the point and the facing point lock together. So lever 1, we're just going to dedicate that to the facing point lock. And we'll click OK. And you'll see as soon as we click OK, the lever changes to the appropriate color of the schematic object it's been mapped to. Double click on lever 2. Again, that's going to control a point. Point ID is point 1. And this time we want it to switch the point, which is that selection there. So we'll OK that. Lever 3. What we want to do is switch a signal. And what we're going to do actually is to use a different lever for each signal arm. So I'll just add one more lever there. Double click on lever 3. That's going to be switching a signal. The signal ID is lever 3. And now we can choose what route to switch. I mean, if you wanted, you could have one lever to switch all available routes from a signal. Or if you wanted one for each arm, you just make a single selection. So lever 3, what we're going to do is to switch the main route, which will be the main signal arm there. So we'll just apply that. Lever 4, again signal ID is 3, and this time we want to switch the left hand 1 route, and click OK. And that is the basic configuration complete. Now, whenever we switch a lever, it will switch the corresponding object on the schematic. So we can take off the facing point lock, we can switch the point and put the facing point lock back on. Let's do that back. And then we can switch the signals. So lever 3, if you remember, was the main route. Change the point. And lever 4 is the diverging route. And that's a basic configuration complete. And finally, we'll give you a short demonstration of using external levers with the application. So here on the screen is one of our quick start examples. and it's got a simulated lever frame at the bottom of the schematic with each lever connected within the application to its respective signal and point. Here we have our DCC Concepts levers, and the momentary contacts of these levers is wired to a USB keyboard encoder at the back here, and then the keyboard encoder is simply wired into the computer via a standard USB cable. And the way it works is it will look to the application like an additional keyboard. Every time you move a lever, it will generate a key press event, and then individual key press events can be connected in to the individual levers to sort of toggle them as required. So just to give a demonstration of the system, what we'll do is we'll set up a movement into platform 2. So the first thing we need to do is to release the facing point lock, which is this lever. Once the facing point lock has been unlocked, what we can do is move the point, which is this lever. You'll see point 5 has now changed. Put the facing point lock back on, and that has unlocked the signal. So if we move this lever, we've now cleared signal 3 for the route into platform 2. To put everything back to how it was, we can just set the signal back to on again. Take the facing point lock off, set the point back to normal, and finally put the facing point lock back on again, and we're back to where we started. You'll see on the screen that there's a clear indication of which levers are locked and which can be moved. Unfortunately, the DCC Concepts levers don't provide any way of sort of mechanical locking within them, but what we can do is we can configure the application to shame the signaller if they try to move a lever that is locked. So just to give a short demonstration of that, the point, which is lever 5, is locked at the moment because the facing point lock is on. So if we try and move that lever, you can see that it's generated a pop-up warning at the top of the screen, and you can clear that down just by clicking on OK. So configuration of the application for external levers is very straightforward, in that all you need to do is to specify the keyboard events, the key codes for pulling the lever off and resetting it back to on. So if we open the configuration of a particular lever, double click on it to bring the configuration up, and you can see here you can specify the off key code and the on key code. If you don't know what those key codes are, then that's easy to find out. You just change the logging level to debug. There we go, OK, and then put the application into run mode. Once the application is in run mode, then if you actually operate the external lever, it will generate key press events through the USB keyboard encoder. And for this particular lever, the key codes are 24 and 25. So we can then put the 24 and 25 in there, and we can click apply. Now, whenever we move that external lever, we just need to click back on the application, and you can see the lever moving as the external lever is pulled.